got some problems.
Oh, shit. How do you think they're gonna react when we tell them they can't leave? Look, I know this sounds crazy, but none of you are safe here.
Whoa, what the hell is she talking about?
We are all in this thing together.
There are things around here that walk and talk just like us until they walk up to you and rip your guts out. There is no way out.
Oh, thank God we heard the screaming.
You picked a bad spot.
I'm seeing a lot of people pushed to their edge. You ever wonder if maybe that's the point?
What is up? What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of From Season 2. This is episode 8, Forest for the Trees. And I got my co-host in the house, Brian the Grizzly. Tell the people where they can find you, sir.
What's up? You can find me here. And then, of course, I'm on the Spoiler Kings on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays. We start about 9:30. We talk about movies. We're talking about The Last of Us. We talk about all the TV shows. And I can't wait to start talking about some other stuff. I mean, we got a lot of shows that we're going to kind of start breaking down. So, yeah, join us.
Absolutely. And as he said that, what up, Fletch? How you doing, brother?
Fletch
Thanks
in the
for popping
building.
in. Thursday, I will be breaking down the latest episode of Dead City Season 2. That show is fire, bro.
That was something. I was like, man, what the hell is he talking about? I said, oh, shit.
Listen, I tell you, man, that first season of Dead City, I think is some of the best Walking Dead we've seen in a long time. And I was so glad when it came back. I was like, yeah, I gotta do this. I was almost like, listen, we're gonna put the From stuff on. And then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna continue doing the From because we got to get through this anyways. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And
we're breaking it down. And I think this is good. It's going well because I think this episode, I forgot how important this episode was. And how crazy the stuff that we saw in this episode was bonkers. The 100%. Bodies.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying about this show, man. It's like even on rewatches, you notice things and you're watching it like, man, this is some good TV, bro. Good TV. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My girl says I watch weird stuff, but I'm like, no. You don't watch enough weird stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking
but this is what
here?
you want to do. I mean, I this episode, when I saw the girl laying there with her body all twisted up and all eaten up and the blood everywhere, I was like, this is a crazy ass episode. The way it started was crazy.
Banger. Absolutely, 100%. So we're going to get into it real quick. So, Brian, what are your thoughts? What did you come up with?
All right. I only got a few things. Well, I lied. I got a page full. But the thing I want to start off with Kenny. We start off with Kenny. I think this dream is something, a sequence is something that we should be looking at a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know what happens at the finale, right? So
yes.
We know Chen is going to not going to make it. But what's interesting about this is, first of all, Kenny hadn't had visions.
Exactly.
This is the first time we've seen Kenny with these visions. And so that was, so why Kenny? Why now? And then him seeing the boiling cicadas. What does that mean? And then the phone call. It says, they touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free. Here they come. They come and for 3, unless you stop the melody.
Yes.
Okay. So breaking that down a little bit. No one here is free. First thing I thought about was the monsters.
Ooh, for real. For real.
Tell you, they touch, they break, they steal. So they're touching people. They're breaking their will. This is like that episode 3, breaking Boyd. They're trying to break Boyd. They break people and they steal. They steal. Every time you have joy, they steal it away.
Facts.
Okay. Then I was like, no one here is free. So that tells you all of them are trapped.
Mm-hmm.
The monsters are trapped.
Yes.
You know, the man in white, a boy in white is trapped. The man in yellow is probably trapped, and they're trapped. It's all of them.
Yes.
So I thought that this was amazing, even talking about that. Then he says, here they come. They come for 3. Okay. So I was like, okay, is there a time when the 3 people are the most important thing? And then I start thinking about the visions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 people that had those visions, and that were in that dreamscape or that nightmare where they had their eyes all white and milky and all that stuff, and they're stuck in the tower. But it's only 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that must be what they're talking about. I think this riddle is telling us everything we need to know. We don't know exactly what it is, but I think this is telling you the total answer for this show.
I like that. You know what I mean? Especially the trap part, like, because we're all putting this thing together as it's the music box thing. But what if it's actually telling us like the town? You know what I mean? How things in the town work. I like that. You know, they come, they steal, and that was good.
They break, they touch,
And
they break, they steal. This is what the monsters do every night.
Yes, yes.
You know, so
I
no
like
one is
that.
free. Man, I started looking at it, I was like, wow. And then they said, unless you stop the melody. Okay, so everyone thinks about the music box. Well, now we already know what happens in season 3, and then playing the song. Now, stop the melody can mean a few things. Stop them from playing that the melody, or what if they started playing the melody and then in the middle just stopped? Does that put them at risk? Does that put all the monsters? Does it put the man in yellow? Does it put them all at risk because they did that?
It makes a good point that you said that, because we had a little bit of hint of that, right? When Jade is playing the music, the Akui kids come out and he stops. And then Tabitha says, go ahead, keep playing. And then keep playing, we see the man in yellow.
Because you release him. But what if you put him at risk, make him at risk by doing that? You know, it's darkest before the dawn, that idea. So maybe like you literally right before you cross over, that's when he's at risk. And that's how they get out. And then to tie it all in, they talk about Miranda and Victor, right? Miranda told Victor, hey, we're getting out after tonight. We're going home. She literally said, I'm sure that we'll be able to get home tonight if we survive tonight. You and your sister stay here. We're going home. So Miranda had put it all together. That's why they had to kill the whole town.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, because she had put it all together and Christopher did what he did, it probably was what caused her to die. But she knew what was going on, and Christopher thought everything was a lie.
Yep.
Right. And then it comes to something else we talked about where, you know, Jade goes to Victor and he's like, why didn't you tell me about the symbols in the thing? Why didn't you tell me? And he's like, well, everybody that sees it changes.
And
So
he already doesn't trust him.
Yes.
Because he reminds him of who? Christopher.
Yeah.
But we all know why.
Yes. And I honestly believe that is a hint that Jade is going to change in a way that might not be good for everybody. You know what I mean? So they always say, you know, history repeats itself. And I think that's one of the themes that we're getting in this show, is that history is repeating itself. Now, how do you break the repeat? Someone is going to have to do it. Someone is going to have to break that repeat. And to me, it's going to be Ethan, Julie. Yeah, that's going to be the ones that are going to have to break that, because I think Jade and Tabitha are going to be completely messed up in next season. Completely messed up for everything.
100%. There's no way they're going to be able to do anything. I think specifically Tabitha, because she will never forgive
Yeah,
herself for all the stuff that she's done.
I agree, 100%. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna have to deal with the fact that your kids don't have their father anymore and all of that
And
stuff.
everyone's going to blame you.
Yeah,
And they're right.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Because you were the one that, you know, Jim said, "Don't play the music." Jim said this might not be a good idea. You want to play some music that just popped up in your head just like that? And Tabitha was like, no, we'll play it somewhere else. So Tabitha is definitely to blame for a lot of the things that happen. So I kind of like where you're going with this because again, at the same time, when we watch this episode or this season, we always thought the music box and all the rhymes actually was talking about what was going on in this season. When now that you break it down the way you did, it seems like there's a bigger picture to it.
This is all talking about what's actually the entire thing, the big picture. But we're all looking at it like it's the little picture. And that's where we're
Mhm.
messing up. That's where we're missing it. And then we're
I
going to actually fall back to the end and be like, oh, they did tell us this right here.
100%. So now that you said that, we talked about the three. It was Julie, Mara, and
Mhm.
Randall. What do you
Yeah.
think their roles are going to be then?
Randall, I do believe he's going to somehow become Martin. I'm at that point. I think
Okay.
Marielle is going to be the one who dies.
Hmm.
You know, or she breaks because we see her in this episode going through the withdrawals. She's gonna have a psychotic break and she might kill herself. That would be devastating for all of them. It's I'm just saying, I could see it really breaking down everybody. If she
So
killed herself in front of them, how would they live? How would they go on?
that's some good stuff. You know what I mean? That's really is. And then I think we got another thing in this episode that I think is going to play out a lot too, is where, and I think it comes to, so we've talked about Ethan being the writer, right? The story writer and stuff like that, you know? But this episode showed that their dreams can manifest pain. Now
Yep.
we don't know how much we physically, but when something happens in the dream world, they get hurt, they end up getting hurt in the real life. So that's showing me that there's a manifestation. Now maybe they're not the ones that are able to bring them to the town. It has to be the writer, which is Ethan, the storyteller, which was Victor.
Okay. So here's another thing about Victor. So when Victor brought Ethan the jacket, so we could talk about the jacket in a little bit because I think that's interesting in itself too.
Mm-hmm.
But they asked him to come in, and he said, "No, I don't want to."
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Victor didn't want to come in, or has never gone into anyone else's house besides one? And that was Sarah.
Interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
See, I think that he knows a lot more. I think he is connected to the monsters. I think that's the way he lived. Like, yes, we could have the whole Julie thing, helping them do stuff, but they told him a lot of stuff that he's kind of blocked out,
Mm-hmm. And
and
to
he's been part of
to
it.
and to your point, right? We get a big, and we've talked about it. Like it's like, oh, Victor says this is my home, right?
Yes,
And we're like,
exactly. He
well, yeah,
did. Right here, yeah.
and we're saying because he's been there so long, he knows nothing else. But
But what if
there's
he's
more
actually
to it than that.
from?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
if Miranda was not just she left? What if Miranda left Fromville, had her kids, and then came back, but she actually knew how to get back out?
Mm.
What if Victor was born in Fromville,
Ooh, that would be interesting.
and that's why they say, you know, you know, from is my home. This is where I am. Not just because of the years, but literally this is where he's from.
So you're saying Victor was born there.
Mhm.
Maybe at the time he was, well, no, they were, yeah, maybe she got out because Tabitha got out, right?
Yep.
Tabitha. So who's to say
That
that
she didn't get
Miranda
out
didn't get
before.
out with, yeah, with
Hmm.
Victor at the same time, and then started having the visions and stuff like that when she went back to the drugs and remembered and realized there was more to what she had to do in that town than just, up and leave, and decided to go back.
Because it wasn't like she was trapped there. She was the only one that took her kids there and started driving.
Mm-hmm.
She was called there. Like, she remembered. Like, it wasn't oh my goodness, I'm here. It was like, I came here. So I feel like she, instead of like Tabitha be going for 4 days, maybe she was going, met Henry, had these kids, but knew that the town was calling back and they were going to attack her kids unless she went back.
Ooh, that's interesting. I like that. It makes sense too. Something that's like, this is my home, and that stuck out to me. I was like, because like I said, when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, it's just because Victor's been there his whole life, and you know what I mean, and that's where he's been trapped and all of that stuff. So he made it his home, but it actually could be his home. You know what I mean?
He's from there. That he's really, literally been there. He was born there.
Which would make a lot of sense if the creatures kept him alive for a reason, right? Because we still don't know why or how he survived all that time. We have the speculations, but until they actually show us, you know what I mean? And then you have another creature saying, if you come back down here, you're not going to leave. So he's been down there many times, and they know he's been down there many times. And never once did they try and hurt him or kill him. He's more important than
he says he's connected to them. And then when Miranda, we hear from Henry about her life, that she did drugs. She was very free spirited. She did, was okay with just going places and staying outside and all that. To me, that sounds like she was so happy to be out that she wanted to experience life. But she knew she always had to go back.
Preach. Preach.
And if I think about Miranda, I once again think about Tabitha. And since it happened to Tabitha, it's possible that it happened to Miranda.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because we always talk about how, at least, and us anyways, how a lot of things are mirroring certain things in the past, right? So if Tabitha got out, who's to say Miranda didn't? You know what I mean? And who's to say that when she got called back, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm getting called back. I need to go. Something is killing me that I didn't finish when I was there,
Yep.
And then she took the kids, because we always found it funny as to why she would just run off with the kids and not, you know what I mean? Because even
if Henry was a good dad, like he seems like he was,
yes,
why would she just take the kids and run?
Yes, exactly.
Unless
That's
she
why
had to return.
Yes, and it had to be with the kids, right?
Maybe she went out. What if she left and went out to have the kids? Because they need the children.
Yeah. Because if it's a mirror, then we definitely know that Eloise is a story walker. Victor was the original, pretty much, story writer. So you needed Victor to come back to the town to write the pictures, write the story, and now you have Ethan in there to finish it.
I like it. I like that a lot. I thought that was, all those are really good thoughts, and I think there's something that they can still bring up in the new seasons and not be like, come out of nowhere. No, this has been right there in front of our face the entire time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what I like too, is that even though we may get some stuff in next season, but it's always going to be tied to something we've seen, something minimal, like we just brushed upon. And that's why we're doing these streams, is because I know there's a lot of things that we just brushed off as, maybe dialogue or something like that. But at the end of the day, it seems like everything in there is calculated. Everything in there means something. And I think you're right. I think that little poem there means more than just what it was in this season, So I think that's something we'll definitely come back to. Very, very interesting. I like that. What else do you got?
Little things about Victor. So when Tabitha kind of sits Victor down and we're talking to Victor, and we're asking, so Victor says, what happened? He says his mother had gone to this location, the night of the bad things that happen, the night of the bad things. We all know it's the purge of all the people, but the night that the bad things happen. In order to save the children, she locked them in the tower. Okay, in the drawing there, right? The drawing, the tower is on fire. You know, so so I wonder, is that the way you get out? That you get to the tower and instead of trying to jump out the window or doing any of that stuff, the tower I'm talking about is the lighthouse. What if you burn it down to the ground? What if it's the beacon that holds you there?
You know what? It would make sense because when the boy in white pushed Tabitha out the tower window, she went into the real world. So the tower definitely would have maybe.
Like you cross this tower, you go through whatever, but this is what's keeping you in. If I burn this thing to the ground, you no longer are stuck in front.
Oof, that makes sense. So you're saying we could possibly be seeing the way they get out.
And I'm saying that Eloise made this drawing, and it's possible that Miranda saw it and said, "Oh, I got it," and that's why she was heading there. Until Smiley cut her off. She was heading there to the tower. Why would she go to the tower if not bring her kids if that was the only way out? What if she was going there to light a fire and burn it to the ground?
Ooh, I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
It's right there in the picture. You see the tower, you see it on fire.
Like that makes a lot of sense. The picture's here, right? Let's see if I can find it.
This should be.
When does she see it?
When he's talking about his drawings, and she's like, "Which your drawings burned or were destroyed in our house when the house fell." And he says, "Not those drawings." And he goes back and grabs the drawings of Miranda, and so it goes to the car, right? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah. Takes them out here. She takes her out here. There's some pictures here.
There's some drawings.
And this is the first time we find out about Miranda, right? So, yeah. Very interesting.
It's there. We got to look for it.
Yeah, 100%. But I definitely think that it makes a lot of sense that you probably would have to burn the tower down or destroy the tower in some sort of way. You know what I mean? And it kind of goes back to when Kenny wanted to like burn the
body.
Right?
Yeah. Throw a fire in there and burn it all. Yep.
Yes. So maybe it's not there you gotta burn, it's the tower you gotta burn to get out. You know what I mean? And for me, I don't think that, like I said, I don't think they're gonna kill the man in yellow. I don't think that. I think they're gonna have to trap him there again. You know what I mean? So wherever he came from, they're gonna have to trap him there. And that's why I believe that someone, Ellis and Fatima or whoever, is gonna have to stay there to protect it. You know, like the Adam and Eve of the Garden of Eden. So, that's tight.
I like it. I'm telling you, this would be a really good way to do those things. And there's rules. I'm sure they're gonna get to a point where they find the rules, and that's
100%, 100%. You know what I mean? They're definitely gonna find out how to get out, basically. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like, okay, this is what we have to do. Now, how they're gonna figure it out, it's going to have to be Julie, right? I honestly think that Julie is not just gonna travel to the past, she's gonna travel to the future. Yeah. She's gonna end up traveling to the future, and she's going to see what happens in the future. And like I said, you can't change anything, but if she knows the events, then she can prevent certain things from happening, right? So it'll be very interesting. I believe because what Ethan said was when she says she can go back in time and or try and change things, he says, no, you can't. It's already been written. But if she goes to the future, it hasn't already been written yet, right? It's a one possibility of a future.
That could happen.
Right. So technically he's right that she can't change the past, But if she knows what the future brings, then she can go back and change it, which is not really changing anything because it hasn't been written yet.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's tight.
And it's funny because Jim has been saying we need to share ideas. We need to come together. If they would have all told all the things to each other right now, they'll be coming up with the same answers we have.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If Victor told everything he's been through, if Tabitha and Jim were telling everyone what's going on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%.
all of a sudden, they will all know. If Donna wasn't holding all the secrets,
wasn't hiding the fact that Jim heard the voice. You know what I mean? And
if they
all of that
shared all
stuff.
of it, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. And now you having group knowledge about, hey, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and then it all starts to make sense.
Boyd brushing off Jim when he said he heard the voice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If they would have had to sit down and these guys would have had these conversations, then maybe they would have been able to put. And I think that's going to be a theme, right? Because so far we've seen individuals, little groups, doing things one at a time. We're going to find out it's like, no, we all have to work together. That's the only way we're going to get out of this.
That's probably the reason they had to kill Jim.
Right.
Think about it, because Jim was working individually. He has now worked with all of them.
Yes.
Worked with Donna. Worked with Boyd. He worked with Tabitha, and he's
Randall,
worked with
Jade.
Randall. He's the one linchpin that could bring everyone together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Victor, even Sarah came back and asking her questions, and he's the one person that everyone could trust. But like you get rid of him, you save a lot of things with the monsters.
I agree. And even when he went to talk to Sarah, Randall was like, "Oh, you're a better person than me because I wouldn't have been able to do that." And Jim knows. He's like, "Listen, this town is what's making people do the things that they're doing, right? It's not the fact that the people are bad. It's the town is making them. It's manipulating people." So Jim figured that out way before, and well, Boyd kind of figured it out too. But I think Jim actually knows, like, it's everybody's being manipulated. It's not just certain people, right? It's everybody being manipulated. And I think Jim was the linchpin. Jim would have been the one who probably got everybody together,
And he could have been right about all these things. There's an experiment, right? That could be right still. That someone on the inside's working on it. Be Victor, because it's not the way we see it, but that he's from there. This is his home. So he could be the one working from the inside. All the things that he's talking about that sounds crazy, he could be right.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think, like you said, he was the biggest threat to anything. That's why, like, Boyd's a threat, right? But I think Boyd is the one that they need to break. But they knew Jim is the one that was going to put everybody together. And maybe that's a future that Tabitha goes to, where Jim is alive. And maybe that's why she thinks that she can save him, right? And realizes that, oh, well, if my father's gone and I can't bring him back, right, then I'm going to have to be the one to bring everybody together.
I like it.
And it might be Julie that ends up having to bring everybody together, because she's going to have a knowledge that nobody in that town is going to be able to have. Nobody. If she's going to be able to story walk and travel through time and go to certain times, and she's going to visit certain times, and we already know she does, because Martin says Julie like they've met before.
And so did the monster.
Yes. And that monster, exactly. Hey, Julie, you don't remember me? So that is showing me that maybe Julie gets there. Like, Julie may reach to the point where it's the beginning, right? It's the actual beginning. And that creature is one of the ones that's there from the beginning. And that's when she meets him, right? Because if Julie is stuck there for a while, like, let's say she goes to the beginning, she's stuck there for a while, she's probably going to have to change her clothes, you know what I mean, to fit in and everything like that. And if that guy knows her name, then that means she did that and she got to know people. You know what I mean? So
And that's
Who
probably the best way to know the monsters before they become monsters.
exactly. Not to mention, that's the best way to give us the viewers how things go down, right?
Yep.
Instead of just
Hmm.
giving us a flashback or anything, we're seeing it through Julie's eyes because she's there. You know what I mean?
It's
I like
also a
that.
really good way to give us 5 seasons.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Because you can focus. I
On the
wouldn't say,
backstory.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can focus on the backstory. And I wouldn't say a whole season to do that. You know
No,
what I
but
mean?
it derails enough to kind of put you to the left. Like, okay,
We're,
we know how they
yeah,
got here, and now we
yeah.
can look at this in a different way. And
Hmm.
knowing where you come from helps you know where you're going.
100%.
Using that way, yeah.
100%. Because you can have the whole next season, right? And this is why I say you're right. It could be five because you could have the whole next season where we're literally following Julie through the time periods that she's traveling to. You know what I mean? So
Just a
we're
quantum leap, 2 episodes of quantum leap, basically.
exactly 100% where we're seeing the real life stuff, right? But we're also cutting to what's happening to Julie and how she's trying to get through times and this and that. And then we get to see how the people in the town are adjusting to Jim's death and what their plan is
Hmm.
next. And that could be for the whole season 4. And then season 5 is when everything comes together. So I could definitely see them going at least 2 more seasons like that. Yeah, 100%. It's good because I want at least 2 more. I don't want it to end next season. I
I'd be
want
sad. Yeah,
yeah, me too. Me
because I
too.
feel like they're gonna finish wrapping up soon.
Hmm.
So then it's over. Is it over? No, let's get through it. Give me another season, and then it could be over.
100%. And that's the issue that I'm kind of having because a lot of these shows that were you see back in the day, you know what I mean? You get like 7 seasons of a show and this and that. Now
Supernatural
they
got
cut
14.
exactly. Now we getting to the point where they cutting it off at like 5, or they're doing 4, 3 seasons, and I guess
Miniseries.
it's yeah, it's good in a way that you don't want to drag it out, but it's also bad when it has like a show that's momentum. You know what I mean? A show
Hmm.
that's good, but at the end of the day, a show like this, these mystery box shows, if you go on too long, then you're just gonna drag things out. And I think that's what happened to Lost. You know what I mean? So I think they
100%
want
did.
to avoid that. Yeah. So I think they want to avoid that. But yeah, it's gonna hurt when this show ends. It's gonna hurt when this show ends.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
When they got to the body in the basement and Smiley, whatever, and you saw
Hmm.
all the cicadas,
Hmm.
what does that mean?
When they showed the cicadas in Smiley's
Inside the
body.
body. Was it the
Mm,
cicadas that really killed him, not the bio?
you know
Were
what?
those worms cicadas that hatched in the body
Oh shit.
and then ate him alive?
Oh shit. I like that. I like that. That makes a lot of sense, right? And not only did they eat his body, it was a new evil. So evil produced a new evil, right? Because in Boyd, it was just like a weapon. And it was a weapon that
Because
actually
he had living blood, right? The
yes,
monsters
yes,
don't have living blood, so that
yes.
it starts to eat them alive. So inside the monsters becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
Boyd is just little worms, but when they get to a dead body, they can eat. The larva comes in, and next thing you know, they burrow, and then they become cicadas, and that's the cicadas that everyone's looking for. I've seen.
you know what? It kind of makes sense because usually when you got meat on the counter and it rottens, it grows maggots and stuff grow out
Hmm.
of it, stuff like that. Yeah, there's a good chance that Boyd put them in there and they turned into the cicadas, the
Yep.
worms.
Yep.
I like that. I never even thought about that to be honest with you, but it makes a lot of sense where the cicadas came from now.
Yep.
Hmm,
They killed him, and then they use his body to go ahead and burrow, and then become the cicadas. So then those are the cicadas that everyone sees everywhere.
interesting. And that too would also go back to another theory we have with like the spider and the cocoons and everything. It shows that even dead corpse, right? Even something that's not human can still transform other things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's a good chance that, we can have a human getting caught in those cocoon and transforming into something else, into the creatures or
Exactly.
whatever. So it shows you that, things can be born out of other things. Ooh, that's tight. That's
So
tight.
yeah, that's why I was thinking. So, those were all the cicadas came from, and they burrowed inside them. But they're all worms first. They're the worms that are crawling inside Boyd's body and bloodstream. Well, their bodies are just husk.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing for them to do, so they
Mm-hmm.
burrow and they nest and they grow and they come out.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. And then we got to understand that when Boyd probably had a lot of those worms in his body, right? I know we just kept
Hmm.
seeing the arm, but it's possible that there was a lot of them, and then that ended up creating these cicadas, right? Ooh, that's tight. I like that. I like that theory. Definitely makes sense. What else you got?
Um, so I'll go back to the Victor. If Victor never gave Ethan his jacket,
Oh yeah, the jacket. Yeah. Hmm.
would Ethan ever became the storyteller?
Ooh, you think that was like a passing of the torch?
Yep. He
It
never
could
gave
be.
him anything else before. How did he know the weather was changing?
That's a
Why
good
did he
point.
do that? And he doesn't give anything to anybody. So why did he give that to Ethan? Oh, because he's the goodness of his heart.
I like that because at the end of the day, it would make because I'm trying to figure out. I know Ethan talked about his own stories in earlier episodes. Like, no, I don't need it. I can. But I think this could be the crowning of, my
You're the
job is
new one.
done. It's you now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And they could have killed him off. They could have done a lot of stuff, but him having the coat now, he's now the one who's making these things happen.
You know what? Now that you say that too, it would also, and I know Victor says he doesn't want the picture because, it's people who's gone and I don't want, you
Mm-hmm.
only, but it also could be because that's how he did it. But Ethan is supposed to do it in a different way. So if he gives
Or
him,
if he gives him that drawing, something bad happens to him, and then now that story maker comes back to Victor and leaves Ethan, comes back to him.
it could be the
Because
only
he's thinking,
thing
he
that,
said, anyone I draw, they die. And I can't have you
Mhm.
die because you're the new storyteller.
The only thing that I have with that is he kept the picture, right? At least I think we did. It doesn't look like because we don't see what he did with it, but he has it in his hand when they walk away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he destroyed it or something like that. But I
Or
also feel
left it
like,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I also feel like it was Victor's way of telling him, like, you're not supposed to be drawing pictures. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I need you to do, not to draw pictures. I drew the pictures. Your way of doing the story is by telling them because Ethan never draws anything else after this, right?
That's true. That's true.
Before this, he was drawing pictures. That wasn't the first one he
All the
drew.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then after this, he hasn't drawn another picture since, right? So to me, I'm thinking maybe that's a way that Victor was like, no, this is not the way you're supposed to do it. This is the way I did it, but you're supposed to do it in a different way.
Here, here's one other thing. So cicadas come up every 7 years, right? They come
Hmm.
every 7 years. Is it that one of those monsters die every 7 years?
Ooh.
And they're reborn every 7 years, and that's kind of the 7 year lifespan that they go through.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Did they ever say about that though? Like a lifespan or anything for these
Well,
creatures?
no, we just know cicadas. Cicadas literally only come out every 7 years. So if you're ever
Mm,
looking, cicadas come. They came in 7 years. 7 years before, they'll come 7 years again. So like the ones that came in 2017, those same ones will come back in 2024.
mm,
That's the lifespan. Is that the
yeah, yeah,
lifespan of what's going on for each monster? Like you only get 7 years. One has to die every 7 years, and that's what gets them to where they are now.
that would be interesting. That would be interesting because one died, all right? I'm pretty sure. And I think we've said this, that if you look at their clothes, it seems like their clothes update all the time, right? Because if these creatures started back when like the
The
first prime thing
1700s.
happened, yeah,
Mhm.
they would still be wearing those clothes. So it seems to me like, and then if they die, they're obviously gonna have to find new clothes. And if they die in a different century or a different, you know what I mean? They're going to
Mhm.
have to take the clothes from the people in that century. So that's why you see it looks like, the milkman is from like maybe, the 1980s or
That was
something
the
like
last
that.
time he died. It was the
Yes,
1970s, and that's the last time
yes,
he died. And
yes, yes,
everyone
yes,
died in a different era, but they're all 7 years apart. And
yes.
I know a lot of coaches believe cicadas are like a transformation,
Hmm.
rebirth. So was that the cicadas coming out of his body signaling somebody was going to be reborn?
Possibly. And it's funny too, because we've seen how they were born, right? We've seen Fatima, have it. But is that the only way they can be reborn? That's the question we get asked, like you said,
Mm,
right? Maybe the cicadas coming out and, one dies and then it's however another one shows up, you know what I mean? Or
mhm.
it's a reborn in a certain way.
It's a rebirth
That's
somehow. Somehow the crate was it the kimono lady comes out and it's reborn every 7 years.
I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. That's crazy though. Um, yeah, what else? Anything else?
No, I mean we didn't talk about even kind of really talk about the meat of the entire this episode. The fact that
Hmm.
Randall was crazy as shit
Oh,
and he
facts,
just attacked the hell out of Adana.
facts. But you had a theory last week as to maybe Randall could be right about Donna, right?
Exactly. I'm still
Hmm.
there. The
So you
mole,
still
it could be Donna.
it it's funny because when we talked about the mole before, it was always like, oh, do they really need a mole? Like, do they need a mole? And then it's like watching these episodes, it kind of would make sense for there to
Mhm.
be a mole, right? Even if it's just to keep people doing what they're supposed to do. Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, they were supposed to, and I guess it's in every reincarnation that they're supposed to play that music to get the man in yellow to come there. That's the goal, right? For the man in
Yep.
yellow to be free, right? So it seems to me like yes, there is something that needs to be done. It's possible that Donna has been the one in charge to make sure that, like, not kill anybody, right? But just to make sure
They
everything
stay in
stays on
line.
course. Yes,
Yep.
yes. Oof, I like that.
She's been around the longest.
Other than Victor,
Yep.
right? But
Other
yeah.
than Victor. Exactly.
Hmm.
What if we find out that Donna is something else? That she's not what we think she is.
What would you think she is then?
Well, I think what if we find out her sister died a long time ago? And
Mm,
she's connected to the man in yellow or the boy in white.
mm.
What if Donna's the mother?
What if Donna's the mother?
Mm-hmm. All those pictures, she's the mother.
You know what? That would be interesting, right? And again, it would make, because I like the fact that you get one of these characters who people have fallen in love with, and then we end up finding out that, oh, that person is not exactly who we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that a person that we fell in love with that we didn't want to see die, now we know that that person is bad. Ooh.
Exactly. And it's not well, not even bad, but just isn't what you think it is.
Yeah.
All that time
Yeah.
you thought that she was a scared lady or she's getting frustrated because of one reason or not. No, the frustration is she's running out of time.
I like that. I definitely like that. It makes a lot of sense to me, man. That makes a lot of sense that if there is a mole, there's either one or two. Maybe Donna and Victor are actually working together.
It could be that they don't. That's why she had the peaches for him. He knows what she is. He's afraid to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
He knows I can't say to Donna.
Because she's always been kind of protecting him, right?
He stayed in the same house right there.
Yeah, yeah. Oof. That's tight. That's tight. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It seems like it's crazy, but guys, this show is crazy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And one thing that I think we need to do is expect the unexpected. You know what I mean? Really and truly. Because I did that video where it's like, who's gonna die? Jim was like low on the list. He was like number
Mm-hmm.
5 or something like that. But he shot up to being number 1. He was the one that died. You know what I mean? So that shows me that they have a different plan for Donna. You know
And
what
we
I
had to
mean?
think about, okay, there's a reason why these people die.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Donna wasn't the one that died.
Absolutely.
There's a reason. There was a reason why Boyd didn't die. That the monsters didn't kill Boyd. There's a reason why Randall didn't die. That they didn't kill him. There's a reason why they're all looking at going after Ethan. You know, like
100%.
all those things are true. You know, so just
100%.
saying. You know, we're going to start seeing the true meaning or the true reason why these people are still alive.
Agreed. Victor still alive. There's a reason why Victor's still alive. And I still think that once Victor remembers everything and spills the beans, then that's when it's going to be like, okay, we don't need Victor anymore because now we have Ethan, right? So Victor becomes expendable.
And then the next thing you see the old woman say, I told you, Victor, you come back down here.
Yeah.
Never leaving.
And that's crazy too, right? Because it's like, okay, so Victor's never leaving if he comes back down there. Are you killing him? Are you trapping him down there? Are you turning him into a creature?
I don't know. And maybe he can be turned into a creature because he's from there.
Exactly.
What if you find out that Victor was a Kui kid?
Ooh. That would be
and
interesting.
Then that place would be his home.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like a reincarnated of the one of the Kui kids?
Yep.
Yeah. And
that
then
Miranda, when she left, whatever, you know, somehow was able to do that.
Which would mean Ethan could be one.
A reincarnation of the Nkui kid, yeah.
Of one of the Nkui kids. Oh, you know what? That's something we never really touched on, you know, because we always touch on the reincarnation of Tabitha and Jade, and we kind of think that other people may have been, you know, or they have goals. But what are the chances that Miranda or Tabitha and Miranda had reincarnations of their actual first kids?
So every time they have those kids, maybe they had multiple kids. They all had 4 kids. And there was one boy, one girl, and then all the 2 girls that, you know, they saw.
Or there was always Miranda maybe had 3, 1 died.
Ooh.
Tabitha had 3 and 1 died. And the reason why the one dies,
because that's one that died in the original time. They had 3, 1 dies. Wow. That's good. That's good.
Because I know for sure there's 2, right? Even the original one, they have 2, but we don't know if there was a 3rd one that died somewhere along the line. So if that's the case, then it's either them having 3 kind of messes up the plan, so 1 has to die, or 1 actually died in the original timeline, and that's why it keeps happening. It continues to happen. Yes. Wow.
Good. That's good. I like that one.
Because there's connections to everything. You know what I mean? Reincarnation, mirror images type of thing, where one family mirrors another one reincarnation mirrors another one. It seems like every time there's a reincarnation, it gets a little further and further. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense for all those connections to come together. It really does.
Man.
Anything
it's funny
else?
because we didn't even talk about Elgin at all in this episode.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm telling you, suspect. I knew from the beginning.
100%.
Knew he lied to Boyd. He's, you know, you can't trust him. Can't do it.
Yeah. And you see, here's the thing too, because we talked about that scene, right? Boyd goes in and asks him if everything is okay. And I think Boyd was really more concerned about if he told what happened with the Smiley instead of what actually happened to him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, what happened? Like, explain it to me. Give me the details. What did you see? What happened with this? And I think if a lot of people in town would have done that, we probably would have only had 2 seasons.
Exactly.
They would have figured it out somehow, you know. And Sarah, she goes to
What if she
Boyd.
was right? What if she was right?
She goes to Boyd and she says she wants to go back out there. And she says, we haven't went as far. Maybe there's something further out there.
Well, we already know she's right? We already saw Tabitha go to the actual lighthouse. So we know that Sarah is correct.
100%. You know what I mean? And I think, again, that's another thing that's a sign to, it's like, okay, we were out there. We did as far as we could go, but now we got to go further, right? The only way to figure this out is if we go further. So, and may not be Boyd again, because Boyd already went out. So to have him go out again and do something else, but that may be a mission for maybe like Randall. You know what I mean? Or Kenny or something like that, to be like, you know, because Julie's going to end up bringing everybody together. I think she's going to be the one that's going to get everyone together and say, listen, this is what is going on. Right. So
I'm trying to, every time I'm watching the episode, I'm trying to look for what is Acosta's role going to be. As of right now, we don't know what is going to happen.
Exactly. And I know, and I think they do it a lot in shows where, you know, she comes in, she's abrasive, she's arrogant, she's like, thinks she knows everything. But I think that's just to end up showing us that she's probably going to change. It may not be for the worse. It may actually be for the better, where she finally realizes that, oh, I was wrong.
But what if she realizes too late?
It might be. It might be too late. 100%. I agree with you. I think it might be, or it'll be right when something bad is going to happen and she switches.
She looks
up.
back and says, "Oh no, I was wrong." And then try to fix it now.
Yeah, exactly. She switches up like at that moment, you know, because it seems to me like she's the type of person that will stick to her guns until she's actually proven wrong. You know what I mean? So I believe that it'll get to the point where it's going to be this choice or this choice, and she's going to have to go against what she actually believes and realizes that, you know, Boyd was right the whole time.
Yeah, should have been following him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Anything else you got?
Nope, I think that was it. I mean, I think those were all positive things that we're running towards season 10. I mean, episode 10. We're running towards episode 10, and we know what's going to come of it. But man, this is going to be so good.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling that when we go back and watch 9 and 10, there's a good chance that we're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. That's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize that, or I didn't see that, or you know, so I have a feeling that we're going to find some more hidden gems in those last 2 episodes. I definitely think about that. So that's going to be interesting. But guys, yeah, that's it for this episode. You know, a nice little breakdown between me and the Grizzly. We are here doing our things every Tuesday at 8 EST. Thursday night, again, I will be doing the Dead City. Brian said he'll try and make it. I'll try and do it at a time where he can come, so we have enough time to do that, and then you can go into your show afterwards. Yeah. May have JG up in the house as well, and maybe Terrence. We're not sure, so we'll definitely break.
All right.
But you got I think you should watch season 1 if you can, though, Brian. Like,
so I already started.
Oh, you did?
I already started today. I was already, you know, I was in the car. I had to play, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to see what's going on. I see what these relationships are, and now that makes sense. And I already started.
Yeah. Because you see at one point in the last season or in the last episode where, you know, Julie's not Julie. Oh my God.
What's her name?
Oh my God, Maggie. That's it, Maggie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maggie goes to kill the zombies, and the girl's like, "No, I want to go." And if you don't watch the season 1, you don't really know what that dynamic is. But yeah, it's because she used to be with Negan. Like Negan was taking care of her, you know.
Which we all know. I mean, that's why she has, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. And I have a feeling that we might, because the way it happened, we might see Negan's girlfriend and son in this season. So
that makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. We might see that. You've seen the last season of Walking Dead, right? So you know
Yes, yeah. I saw all
Negan's
Walking Dead.
Negan's wife is black and stuff like that. She's pregnant in the last season. Yeah. So I think that's gonna be and I think I know they like to do the tension between Negan and Maggie, but at the end towards the season, they start to have a little bit of an understanding, and I have a feeling that they are going to
You
conspire.
feel that, but you start to feel that, especially as people come back to the town. Maggie's still, like, why are you trying to say that you killed Negan?
Yeah.
No, you didn't kill him.
yeah, exactly. So I think Negan and Maggie are probably going to try and put a plan together to like get rid of both factions. You know what I mean? Like we got to get rid of these guys, New Babylon, and we got to get rid of this group and everything like that. So it's definitely interesting. Okay, so here's the thing. I like bad Negan, right? And I get it, but Negan has changed as a character. So
he doesn't even want to be bad Negan. You forget that he's just a gym teacher. Like he's not that he was hardened because that's what you had to do to survive.
Yes.
He did bad stuff because he forgot that. But now it's like, that's not who he really wants to be. And you can see that even in that first episode, that's not who he really wants to be. You have to coerce him to do it.
Yes. In that episode where we got Negan's backstory was again one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead 2. That was fire. That was really good. And I think you have to be careful. And I think they're going to toy with it, right? To where Negan's going to have to be the bad Negan, but you're going to see that he doesn't want to be that guy anymore.
As he goes back, he's like, in his own personal time.
Like, yeah.
This.
And then because they show in the trailer that there's a scene where him and Maggie are face to face, I think that's when they're going to have the conversation. It's going to be like, no, this is the plan. They're going to come up with their own plan to take out everybody else, So
and then she's going to tell him, but you're going to have to maintain them believing you're the bad one right now.
Yeah, 100%. You're gonna have to do that, and he may have to do some stuff he's not going to want to do. But I also think that it's going to get to a point where he's going to do certain things because he's going to have to protect the family and the people that he loves. Because Negan will do anything to protect the people that he loves, right? And I think that's where that's going to pull into that. So, guys, make sure to check that out as well. Also, for those of you, we started back doing the Chaos Central stuff, right? So Danny did his show on Monday. I'm doing mine on next Monday. I'm changing it up a little bit. It's actually going to be a debate show, right? So I'm gonna be like the moderator. Danny, we're gonna switch obviously every week. It's gonna be me, but Danny and Chris are gonna do the first one, and it's gonna be a debate. And I'm trying to figure out what to have them do, because when I do the debate, I want them to actually be at odds with each other. I don't want it to be a topic where someone says, okay, I'll just take this side and argue this side. I wanted them to actually have disagreements on the topic, right? So they're going to do that. We're going to set it up like kind of like a presidential debate. One has 5 minutes to talk, and one has 5 minutes to talk. Then they do the counters, then there's question period and stuff like that. So it's going to be very
if I'm there, I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm just going to make up facts.
Well,
don't fact check.
That's where the moderator comes in, because there will be fact checking. All right, definitely. So if you say something, I'm gonna be definitely doing fact checking on that. So we're not no Donald Trump over here, guys.
Hey, 5,000 years ago, pigs used to fly. They really had feathers.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna have them debate on the first episode yet. I know Danny gave me one about movie experience, because I know Danny feels like it's better to watch movies at home. Chris likes the movie experience. There's that. I know they disagree on the best Star Wars movies, so I have that one too as well. So I'm going to figure out what it's going to be. But it should be a fun show, so I hope you guys check that one out too. It should be very interesting. It should be fun. But
I like that.
Yeah, it's good. It'll be fun. And then, if it goes well, then we'll be bringing on guest debaters. You know what I mean?
Just let it go well first.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing guest debaters on that too as well. So we'll see how that one goes. But Brian, tell the people where they can find you one last time, sir.
Hey, 1/3 of Spoiler Kings. We're on live Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays at 9:30. Unless everyone comes in late, then it ends up being 9:45. But we definitely talk about all the TV shows, talk about movies, and we're going to look at all the box office, and we're going to continue to break down Last of Us on Mondays, along with this man over here.
Absolutely. Hey man, I can't lie. When we got off the stream on Monday, I was like, damn, it's like after what?
Dude, I could not. Oh my god. You know, the problem was I wanted to start, and I was sitting there for an hour trying to figure out, like, okay, we'll be in and out. Hour and a half, I was ready to go.
Yeah. And then we started talking about other things, and like sports came into it and everything. And we didn't even start talking about the show for at least an hour before we started talking about it. Like, damn, bro, you know. But it is what it is. It's always fun. I don't mind, you know, especially when I'm having a good time and, you know, streams are fun, and I don't mind that. So I'll sacrifice a little bit of sleep for it, but I was dead today.
No. I was done. When we got off, man, I dragged myself into that room and I was out.
Me too. But I'll tell you this, I was dragging through the whole day today, boy. I was like, oh my God, this day. I was like, I'm leaving early today. There is no doubt in my mind I am leaving early today. But unfortunately, it was payday, so I had to wait. Hey, you know what I mean? I had to wait, and payday didn't come until like 30 minutes before it was time to go. So
I left early 4 minutes. It don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So I know tonight we done early. You got a show. I'll be watching in the background, but
it's gonna be literally this show will be an hour, if 45 minutes, maybe.
My ass is going to bed early, that's for sure, tonight. Hopefully Tank is feeling better, so you have your full panel tonight, man. And what are you guys talking about tonight?
We just talking about the Bears again. We're gonna go over the draft picks, and we're gonna talk about Nick Chubb possibly enjoying the Bears, that he's actually in town meeting soon, and we'll know what's going to happen with the offense, and are we getting the old group back together from Georgia.
Ooh, nice. So make sure to check it out, guys. Sports show. If you like sports, go ahead. And if you get the chance, Brian, check out the show we did with Danny, because we talked about the Sanders stuff towards the end. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on that. So definitely check that out, because we all think it's a collusion setup.
A super collusion. There's no doubt. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow.
Okay, so before I go real quick, and I'll ask you, because I think Danny kind of blames Deion Sanders for it. Do you?
Nope. Because when it was Archie Manning and Eli Manning, no one had a problem. Anytime it's the father, once the father becomes a black man, all of a sudden they have an issue.
That's exactly what I was saying. I was like, I get it. You know, yeah, you're putting. Okay, so you're saying, like, even like with the ball father, you know, oh, well, my sons are better than this and that. And I said, I get that. I get bigging up your son. I also get the fact that you're putting bullseye on their back, right? But
it was the 5th round. If it was the 2nd round, I'd be like, oh, yeah, it's Deion's fault. It was the 5th round. It was the NFL saying, no, know your place. You don't know who you think you. I don't know who you think you are, but we run this. And we're going to take the money.
And I like to say that, even though, like, so for example, LeBron James' son, even if LeBron James came out and didn't say nothing about, oh, my son is better than half, even if you didn't say that, just the fact that you have that name, guys are coming at you, right? Just 100%. The fact that you have that Saunders name, guys are coming at you. You know, so the Ball brothers are different because they didn't have a name at all. So I get that.
They're trying to make it.
Yeah. But I also understood what the father was doing. And if the father literally, because we don't know what he was telling them back to, he's like, guys, I'm going on there. I'm, you know, viral moments, talking trash. Don't take nothing seriously. You know what I mean? But when you're in the NBA, regardless, you know people are going to come at you. So I don't know. I just find they like to blame the fathers for these certain situations.
You want to blame a black father for being in his child's life, and especially when you are one of the greatest players to ever put on pads.
Yeah.
Why would he not be in his life?
Yeah, 100%. And why would you not big him up? I get it. I mean, I would sit there and be like, yeah, my son's better than everybody in the NBA right now. Like, you know what I mean? That's giving your son the confidence. So, yeah,
he might be. He was literally one of the best in college football.
Yeah.
Period. He was there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I definitely don't have an issue with that. But yeah, guys, so make sure to check us out. It was a pleasure. We will be back with some more shows. Absolutely. Well, I really don't want to quote him, but we can't stop and we won't stop. I'll just say that. I'll just say that. But with that being said, guys, peace, love, and hair grease, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take that.
Yeah.